Peace and blessings in this corner boxing 24. So I'm gonna just get right into it. The politics of boxing takes away from the sport, the politics. So Yordenis Ugas, welterweight WBA welterweight champion, took the belt from Manny Pacquiao this summer. They're trying to make him fight a fighter who has only 13 fights under his belt. His name is Yordenis Ugas, and he only has 13 fights on his belt. And Yordenis Ugas was saying in an article that I read, it's funny how this guy only has 13 fights on his belt, and now he's in the number one spot to be a mandatory for me. For him, he's saying, Yordenis Ugas, he's in the number one spot to be his mandatory. Yordenis Ugas put on a hell of a performance, man, when he beat Manny Pacquiao. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought Pacquiao was going to beat him, not so much easy, but I just figured he'd beat him, right? So that was really a surprise to me. I knew Yordenis Ugas was tough. He was coming to fight, but I thought Pacquiao was going to beat him unanimously. And he beat Pacquiao. But now that he earned them stripes, they're trying to put him in a welterweight tournament, and now they want him to fight this fighter and that fighter, derailing him from fighting Errol Spence, right? Who is the WBC welterweight champion. So he said that he signed a contract for February 22nd next year to fight Errol Spence. Now, at the end of the day, we don't know with the eye injury that Errol Spence has if he'll be ready to fight in February, but it's definitely a possibility because this is October. So you're talking about 4 months from now. It's definitely a possibility. But if it wasn't February, it would definitely be, because all they would have to do is just move it up a couple of months if that was the case, if he wasn't ready for February. But the point is, they signed a contract. And there's no way that he should be forced to fight a fighter or anyone or participate in some all of a sudden welterweight tournament that they crafted up to try to serve who and to help out who when I'm the champion. So if anything, leave the champion out of that, right? Leave the champions out of that got the belts and let the top contenders fight each other. And then you could say, well, okay, based on what they did, they could fight this champion, they could fight this champion. I understand that. But Ugas is a vet, man. He's a veteran. He's been around for a minute. So he shouldn't have to really deal with that. But again, this is just the politics of boxing. And he said, honestly, that he's not going to fight Yordenis. He said it's going to be a hard decision. He don't want to give up his belt. But he said he's just not going to do that because it's not fair. He's really angry on how he's fuming over the fact that they're trying to make him do this. He wrote a letter, him and his team, he said they wrote a letter to the organization, to the president. He said he saw the president. No, he talked to the president on the phone, and the president told him he had his best interests at heart. This is the president of the WBA organization. He had his best interests at heart and wanted to give him the best fight. But he said when he saw him in person, he said something else. He acted like like they never even had that conversation. Wow, really? That's how you doing the fighters? I mean, the fighters are the one, man, that make up the organization. If it wasn't for the fighters, you wouldn't have a WBA, a WBC, a IBF. You wouldn't have organizations if you didn't have fighters, man. Treat these guys with respect. But what they really need to do is start forming their own alliances, man, and stick together. You see? They're not going to be respected by the organization, then they're going to have to start branching out and doing other things. It's not impossible to do it. okay? In any sport, it's not impossible, man, to take a stand and do some things. You know, you had a little example of it when the COVID first hit with basketball. If guys would have just, took their stance, it could have been a little bit better. But I don't really want to get into that. I just want to say overall that in boxing, these fighters got to start sticking with each other, stand up for each other, looking out for each other, and put money in each other's pockets. Because that's really what it's all about. Speak up for each other, So it's just, to me, again, it's just sad, man, that politics is playing a part. And now, he might lose his belt because he don't want to defend it against somebody that's really not worthy to even fight him, honestly. Okay? He's not worthy. But again, that's the politics of boxing. It's one of the things that happens in boxing, and it ruins the sport. Not like it used to be, where the best just fought the best, and the contenders, they earned their way, and they finally got a shot. And sometimes they won, sometimes they lost, but they got their respect. Boxing is totally different now, man. And while I'm on that note, that's Yordenis Ugas we're talking about, and his situation with the welterweights. But while we're on that note, I just want to say this real quick. Boxing is a combat sport. It's not like basketball where I'm throwing balls in a hoop. It's not like football where I'm getting a ball thrown into my hands for a touchdown and I'm running, okay? Football is combat because you're getting hit, right? But you're not getting hit like in boxing where you're trying to knock me out. You're trying to stop me in football from getting a touchdown. So you're hitting me with your helmet, you're grabbing me, you're throwing me down. It's combat, but it's still not one-on-one combat where we're trying to hurt each other and knock each other out for the rights, you know what I'm saying, for the belt, for the win, to be a champion. Okay, boxing is not like any other sport. Okay, it's not like basketball, football, and baseball. All right, it's one-on-one combat, right? And so we don't have to disrespect each other before a fight. We don't have to call each other names, talk about each other's mother, father, sister, brother, talk about our past. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, in the history of boxing, you never saw fighters hanging out with each other before the fight, taking pictures, smiling, selfies, and all that. That's not boxing, man. When you get ready to box, you zoned in. This is a combat sport, and people lose their life. See, that's why I say it's not like basketball or football. They don't lose their life in football and basketball from a hit, from a hard foul. They get injured. That's about it. In boxing, fighters die. Okay, it's a serious sport. It's combat, straight up combat. There's no, it was a light hit, it was this, it could be anything. A shot in the wrong place at the right time, or at the wrong time, I'm gonna say, and that could end your life. So, it's not about this friendly, we're gonna hang out. Now, after the fight, sure, we give each other proper good respect. We still might not hang out and all of that. We don't have to do that. This was a fight. If we do that, it's okay, but we don't have to do that. All right? We could be cordial to each other and respect each other, but we ain't got to hang out. But if we do that, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, it's do it, fine. But before the fight, man, you're not supposed to be taking selfies, taking pictures, hanging out with each other, or we're gonna have dinner. Nah, man, that's not boxing, man. All right? So those who think like that, you think it the wrong way. If you're a fighter, don't do it. Anthony Joshua is your example. He was friendly with Andy Ruiz, and what happened? He lost that fight. He was friendly with Usyk. What happened? He lost the fight. Don't follow his example. Be zoned in to the mission that's in front of you, the task that you got to take up to win that fight, to win that belt, by any means necessary. Peace and blessings. In this corner boxing 24.